Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about the issue of migration. Migration issues has become a biggest problem all over the world, and it's become a daily discussion by many governments. So every country today is talking about migration, how to deal with this. This is a result of unrest world, where people are moving from their own countries to other countries because of the different factors, economic factors. Some of them are issue of the unrest in their countries, so they move to their own country to seek better life or safeties. Some of these migrants are actually economic migrants. Some of them are actually people who are running away from their own country due to the factors that I've mentioned earlier on. So United States of America also experienced the same thing. But recently, what is very interesting is that United Kingdom has got has got what you call a Rwanda bill, which has become a law, which means that sooner or later, UK will be deporting illegal migrant to Africa in Rwanda. So if you've been to UK, you'll see that United Kingdom, there are a lot of problems there. People on the street of UK, there are a lot of illegal migrants from different areas. You can see if you've been there. I was there last year. I really understand that UK must actually deport to give away to give away or to allow British people to enjoy their welfare. Because some of these migrants, when you go there, they don't just go there. There are a lot of things that are doing. I've seen in the UK that no, the people need to be documented. People need to follow the rule of the countries. Another countries that also had issue of migration, I think a crisis of migration, is United States of America. It has got USA has got migrant crisis, which was actually started from, I think it was in Texas. Now they are moving to California borders. Even some of the people have been talking about this, like the prominent USA former President Donald Trump spoke about these migration issues before it comes out of control. He warned about these issues. This is the biggest problem in United States of America. You can see some people are on the street, and then the new migrants are also making difficult for the people from USA, including African Americans. So they are probably moved to like Chicago. Look at the situation in Chicago, where the mayor of Chicago is like, it's faced a very serious challenge now to address the issue of migrants from different countries. Some of these migrant people are making it difficult. These illegal migrants are making it difficult for citizens of USA to enjoy their life in USA, because they go there. Some of them are not actually economic productive. They become the children of the welfare of USA. And then even South Africa has got the Home Affairs, Department of Home Affairs recently published a white paper on citizenship, migration, and refugee protections. But this is very important in the sense that as a South African, I think we South African, we need to comment on these things. We need to speak about this issue of migrations. I am very glad that the government have recognized or that there is a crisis of migration, or in the near future, if this problem is not addressed, it's going to become out of control. Because if the country like UK, which are superpowers, like big countries like UK, even though it's small, a country like UK, which has more resources, and the United States of America are saying enough is enough about migration. How about South Africa? So South Africa, even itself, is very interesting to learn that they've got, like I said, the recently published white paper on migrations, which is going to look out on citizenship, immigrations, as well as refugee protections. Very interesting things. But the truth of the truth of the matter is that the issue of migration is becoming a crisis. Everywhere you go, you find that migrant people, there are a lot of illegal migrants who are actually causing havoc everywhere you go. Countries cannot host them. But many people ask themselves, why the issue of illegal migrants now? Because in future, in the next 10 years, many countries have noted that no, this legal migrant, they don't have identity. So when they move to other countries, don't assimilate, they started to form their small countries into these hosting countries, which is making it difficult for local people to survive. Some of them, they compete with local resources, violence, and some illegal activities that destroy local people. It's another factors that many countries now, they want to destroy. They want to protect their own sovereignties. The issue of migrant, it appear like a social discourses or social science discourse. It's actually a scientific discourses. Let me tell you something. Let's look at South African context. Every place that when we introduce, in most cases, when we introduce a new species of plants or animal into the new ecosystem, the indigenous species suffer because it competes with the local for resources. In sciences there, let me give you an example. There is a positive migrations. These are the people who have got skills who go to those countries legally. And they got their productive. We've got illegal and economic migrant who move to other countries for their own selfish interests, marrying local women, destroying families, illegal businesses, don't pay tax. These are people cannot be tolerated because they are not documented, and then if something happened to the local people, you will not trace them. Let me return back to the issue of looking at migration from scientific view. Like I said, we've got what we call positive migrants. Look, for example, if you go to Pretoria, there's a beautiful tree that is blossom in the late September until November. It's called a jacaranda tree. Many people are not aware that this tree, known as jacaranda tree, it's actually come from Brazil. It was actually introduced to South Africa from Brazil in 1888 in Pretoria. That's why today Pretoria is jacaranda tree. This tree actually, even though it's an alien, but it's created a very marvelous atmosphere in Pretoria. So it makes Pretoria very attractive. That's what you call. This is alien plants that was introduced in South Africa. It is well managed because it's alien, and it's contributing to make our city to look beautiful. This jacaranda tree. But on other hand, there is a bird in South Africa. It's called cuckoo. Some of these birds are migratory cuckoos. This cuckoo is known as broad parasite. Broad parasite is that it means in science is that in biology, broad parasite it means that is the bird that lays eggs into another bird's nest. So it doesn't build its own nest. I hope you are following my story here. So in other words, the broad parasite don't build their own nest. They only hijack other birds' nest and lay their eggs. And what happens is that when they lay their eggs, the hosting birds, it's expected to take care of those eggs. And then guess what? When this cuckoo lay eggs into a hosting bird nest, in most cases, like let's say a reed warbler, in Sotho Salebo, what they call Kemoletashaka. So this reed warbler is the victim, always a victim, because it's very small compared to cuckoos, which lay its egg there. What happens is that it's left with the responsibility to take care of its own eggs and the one that were brought by cuckoo. Guess what? When these eggs hatch, the cuckoo eggs hatch first, and these cuckoo chicks will remove the beds of red webbers, and it become owner of the nest. What does this mean in the actual fact? This is a moral story that we can translate science to social science. I give two examples here. I talk about jacaranda tree, which is an alien tree that was introduced in Pretoria. Pretoria embraced it and become a jacaranda tree. It's blossom well. It creates a beautiful atmosphere to the people. It contributes to the beauty of the system, the countries. Unlike cuckoo and other species of the birds that hijack the nest of the others, this broad parasite, Jacaranda tree contribute. Cuckoo does not contribute. It destroys. It doesn't build on other. It doesn't build its own nest. It relies on others. It's looking for foster, somebody to take care of it. It does not like its own place where it come from. You get my point? It's very important to understand science from moral point of view. I always stress the issue of moral point of view. Let's look at this in migrations. South Africa is a young country. I mean, it became a country in 1910. It's a very young country and it's a volatile country. It became independent in 1994 from shackle of apartheid. We have got people from Bangladesh, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Eastern Europe, and even Europe, other countries who are illegal in South Africa, including those from South Africa. These people have never contributed to anything of these countries. They came to South Africa, they contribute to a lot of things. Illegal activity, destruction of the identity of the nations. Today, when you talk about the identity of the nation, country doesn't have identities. We've got indigenous people like Khoisan. They're no longer to be found. We have got people that they even want to marry Khoisan to destroy their gene pools. These people, these migrants, some of them all over. I know this is a very serious issue. It's very sensitive matter to talk about. But most migrants, they go to the extent where they marry local people to just get access or to obtain citizenship and leave them like that. And then these women are crying like this one. But even the cultures where they come from, they don't marry black women. But here in South Africa, they will use that opportunity to marry them to get access to the country's basic resources, open their business. So this is a very sad story. Let's hope the government, this is not election gimmick or it's not an election, just trying to get attention from voters. Let's hope the government will implement this policy effectively so that it can address the injustice that illegal migrants bring in these countries. Some of them, because they are not documented, you can't trace them. They can do as they wish. And some of them, for their own sake, they need to be documented so that they don't become a victim of exploitation by scrupulous, employer who will employ them and then exploit them. When they use them, they are no longer useful. They don't pay them, they dump them. So illegal migrant, they need to be documented, they need to be controlled. And then at the same time, they need to be deported. Because, they are countries that never be colonized. They chase the European in their own countries. Sometimes you ask yourself, but now they are running to South Africa. So black South Africans during the time of apartheid, they were going through a lot, lost their life. Young children were fighting against this mighty apartheid. They didn't run, a few of them hardly ran away. But just imagine this country that are so-called independence countries. They are in South Africa. They are living in luxury. They only go home to vote so that their own tribe will remain in power, to send them resources to live in South Africa, to live like kings. If we look at migrants, the so-called refugees, in South Africa, they live like a kings. Their wife are here, everywhere they go, they drive most expensive car. These people are not refugees. And the worst part of it is that unlike Bantu from South Africa, the tradition and cultures of the black South Africans who were here before 1652 and then between 1652 and 1800, late 1800, these people, we know their tradition and their cultures. They were documented. The records are there. But the new migrant, we don't know their tradition and their cultures. We don't know how they live. Some of these people could be very dangerous to our society if we don't understand their lifestyle. Because they tend to create impression that they are so decent citizens. They are not, or what you call, they present themselves or portray themselves as model citizens. They are not. They don't even integrate with us. In many townships, there was economic activities and rural areas. These economic activities have been hijacked by these people. They are the ones who are in charge. Some of the people in township are complaining of the service that these people are providing. And then you look at the pattern, like if the country like USA and UK, who are actually big countries, and even Sweden and other countries, they are complaining about these Germans. They are complaining about these illegal immigrants. Why South African does not do the same thing? We need dialogue here about the issue of illegal migrants, and we mustn't shy away because somebody will accuse us for being xenophobic. No, we need to speak about migration. Since we don't owe these people. We never colonized them. We never been to their own countries. But what is it that they drive them here? And these guys who are coming here are not the previous one. They are new colonizers coming with they don't even like us in their own countries. They see us as lazy fellows. Just same apply to African Americans. They are going through a lot because of this illegal migrant. Imagine a person who lives like a cuckoo. He doesn't buy infrastructure. It's in his own country. He moved to his own places and go and lay eggs in other countries, other people's countries. In this very small, South Africa, as small as it is going through the legal infrastructure that we have, it can't be able to sustain these migrant people who are coming every day. I understand that there are neighboring countries, but somebody living Eritrea, Ethiopia, Bangladesh, and those Asian countries, and poor East Asian countries, as well as European countries, even America, to come to live in South Africa like a king. People worship them. Amen. We need to look at this issue of migrations, because if decisions are not taken now, we are going to suffer the consequences, because these guys who are coming here are not playing with us. They are not part of us. If the country like the USA said, no, enough is enough, we need to deport these people, they know what's actually happened. This migrant, they cannot fit into in the countries. They can't fit. They've got their different culture that's quite different to local South Africans. So the issue of migration is the big elephant that need to be addressed. So if we don't do anything, our children will have to suffer the consequences of this negligence. Having said that, if you can look at it from different perspectives, like maybe some of legal migrants. They are not. Some of these guys, they live like a king. They collapse their own countries. They put their own dictator. They move to the hosting countries. They hijack buildings just like cuckoo birds. They behave of cuckoo birds, where even the young chicks, that is hosted inside the cuckoo, inside the reed webber. It relies on reed webbler. She has to feed. Although she's very small, she has to feed cuckoo birds, and they grow older. After that, guess what? They evict its chicks. Imagine the pain of taking care of the citizen that is not yours. They left their own countries. They don't do anything. They want to live in peace in the new countries with different cultures. We blame them, and we blame other people. Colonization. If these people were colonized, but were not colonized by South Africa, why can't they go to their own colonizers? They portray themselves as a very decent citizen, but they can't build their own countries. Learn from this parabola of the jacaranda tree that was introduced in South Africa. Is still alien, so you're not allowed to plant it. If we are able to control jacaranda tree, why can't we control migrants? Jacaranda tree is a very, beautiful tree that is blossom in, which makes our city very beautiful. But the cuckoo mentalities, where people invade other people territory and lay their eggs, even the young ones, they evict the eggs of the hosting, the owner of the nest. This does not make sense, Papa. We need to look at this from scientific point of view. In science, it's simple and straightforward. Whenever the new species, the alien species, are introduced into the new environment, the indigenous plants or animals suffer. That's a scientific point of view. It's happened everywhere. So here's the moral of the story. Now, what do we learn from these issues, the recent uproar in America, UK, and other European countries, about the issue of migration? Migration is a crisis. Africans, South Americans, and other East European countries, they must sort out their own problems. You can't run away from their own places. Learn to build your own infrastructures. Who colonize you? You must go to the people who colonize you. Africans, like South African, they don't have place to go. The problem of these migrants, like my friend and others, is that when the country collapses, they've got home to go. We don't have place to go. I understand that everybody is a migrant everywhere. But the issue of these illegal migrants who are trying to create their own cities in South Africa, it's a worrisome. This is a very serious issue. Imagine what's going to happen in the next 50 years. We are going to have certain people that we don't know them. How did they come here? They become our owner, or they own these countries. Because what they're doing now, they're actually evicting local. Whenever they move to neighborhood, they force local out. Their lifestyle will force you out, whether you like or not. So what I'm saying is that people must support, UK people must support their government about the issue of migrations. Deportation of migrations, illegal immigration is very important. Those who are in Chicago, Americans, they must also do the same thing, because the issue of migrant crisis, if we don't address it, it's going to have negative impact. Many people also suggest that what about if South Africa has what you call people who work, communities organizing themselves as a National Guard. National Guard is those that you find in America, where you find the people are soldiers that are part of community, but they're not active soldiers, but they can be called anytime. So we need this kind of National Guard. But unfortunately in South Africa, having National Guard to deal with the issue of migration, it won't work at all, because our people love bribery. You might find out some of the migrants will be asked to bribe to remain in South Africa. So I think let's allow government to use their own system. The moment you started to appoint people as a National Guard, people who can protect organize themselves against migrants, they're gonna use it to generate their own income. We may end up having some criminal element trying to extort money from everybody because they are protecting them. However, in many countries like USA, the National Guard are there to protect the nations. Communities are part of the government that will say, let's deport these people. If there's illegal activity that's going on within the setting, they'll inform police. But here in South Africa, it's not like that. Many women in the country like South Africa, even USA, as well as UK, many women, when they divorce, they are under very tremendous stress. They need love. Some of these migrants will fill the gap. So they will use these ladies for citizenship. After they use them, they move on in life. And this woman will be crying about these people must be deported. We are not supporting those women who fall in love with this migrant. And then after those people, because nobody will love those people. Most migrants are just there, are economic migrants. They're not interested in having love. So if women want to have relationship with this migrant, and after that they cry for whatever, they must be deported because they don't, they are no longer interested in them. That's another story for another day. We don't want we don't want to entertain that particular issue. But however, we need to look at the issue of the impact of illegal migration to the welfare of locals, which means that the prioritization of local communities should be a main goal. Because I understand after election, this kind of issues will be laid to rest. Politicians will move on with their life. But we could now recently, or this time around, they're talking about legal migration or the policies, because it's about electioneering, or it has to do with trying to get people to vote for them. But in real fact, we must, prioritize the welfare of local people. Migration is very interesting. People must visit other countries if they are tourist or investment. But you cannot have me moving to another country as a refugee, all of a sudden I own big properties. You ask yourself, how do I own how that comes? I'm economic migrants. I can't move to other countries. All of a sudden, I own a hotel. I own a big, properties. We need to ask ourselves those kind of things. Some of migrants are not actually, legal migrants are not actually good for the societies. They are the people who come from very traumatic background. Therefore, you'll never know what they can do to your countries. So therefore, you must stay, you must always be ready about these people. However, respect of those people who go there, who contribute to the development of the countries, it should be, observed. We should recognize that there are some migrants who move to other countries for positive or for the development of the nations. But some of these people have nothing to benefit us. Therefore, they must be deported. I'm not speaking a politician. I'm speaking as a citizen. who feel like we cannot allow what you call broad parasite behavior exhibited by our own people. We need people who behave like jacaranda plants or jacaranda tree, the one that blossom and create what we call a beautiful atmospheres. That's why we call our cities jacaranda tree, because of what it contributes to tourism. But we don't want these, dingy characters, dodgy characters like cuckoo, that run away from their own responsibility, expect the hosting bird to take care of their own messes. Having said that, until we meet again to discuss this matter further sharp.